week's story starts with the disciples having an argument.
I'm pretty sure the disciples never argued.
Sure they did.
Nope, I don't believe it.
Ziggy, it says right here that the disciples were having an argument.
Nope, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Nope,
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're funny, aren't you?
I have my moments.
Let's get started. This week's scripture is found in the book of Mark. The book of Mark is one of the 4 gospels found at the beginning of the New Testament. These 4 gospels cover a lot of the same information, but are written by different people with different points of view. Mark is the second book of the New Testament, but most Bible scholars agree that it was the first gospel that was written and compiled. All right, so at this part of the story, the disciples have already watched Jesus heal the blind, cure the sick, feed 5,000, even walk on water. So they're feeling pretty awesome about themselves and pretty cool about being in the Jesus squad. So as they're traveling to their next destination, a couple of the disciples start arguing with one another about who's the better disciple.
I bet it was Judas who started the argument. He was always a bit of a shady guy.
Well, Mark doesn't point any fingers here, so we don't really know who started the argument. But what we do know is that Jesus called them out on it. Jesus calls everyone together and tells them they've got it backwards. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. You see, when the disciples were arguing, they were comparing who was the best based on the world's standards. Who had the most stuff, who had the most power, who was the strongest. But Jesus turned those standards upside down. He said, money, strength, power, none of that stuff matters in God's kingdom. What matters in God's kingdom is that we take care of each other. You see, this is why Jesus brings a child into the group. Back in those days, kids didn't have any power or money or strength or stuff. In fact, in the Roman Empire, kids didn't have any value at all. A father could legally disown or sell his child just if he made him angry.
Yikes. I bet kids back then made sure to keep their rooms clean.
Jesus makes it very clear that God values children and all people, regardless of status. It doesn't matter if you don't have money or strength or power or you're not the fastest. Anyone can help others if they try. And when you help others, you are truly great. So Jesus turns what the disciples believe about the world upside down. It's not that money or power or intelligence are bad, but we shouldn't use them to build ourselves up and make ourselves better than other people. Instead, we should use them to build other people up.
So that's what Jesus means when he says, whoever wants to be first must be last and servant of all.
Exactly. We need to use our gifts and talents to lift other people up and serve others. And that brings us to our Bible memory verse. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Mark 9:35. Now we'll start to take away some words. Follow along with me and we'll memorize the verse together. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Mark 9:35. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Mark 9:35. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Mark 9:35. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Mark 9:35. Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. Mark 9:35. Here comes your challenge for this week. Challenge 1. During a car or bus ride this week, I want you to think about all the people who have served you today. Parents, teachers, a tutor, a coach. How much greatness have you witnessed today? Write them in a notebook and then share it with me on Sunday. Challenge number 2. Find a yummy soup recipe and give everyone in your family one task to put the soup together. Fall is the perfect time for soup. Some of my favorites are potato leek or tomato and onion. When it's all ready to eat, take turns serving each other. Think about how it feels to be served and then think about how it feels to serve others. Tell me about it on Sunday. As always, share your experience with me on Sundays or in the comments below. Thanks for checking in with me this week. Stay tuned for the announcements at the end of the video. I'll see you Sunday.